Redding is a beautiful place. We have national parks in 3 different directions, 2 world-class lakes. This is a sportsman's paradise, but it's also full of wonderful people. We have business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, all of them working towards a singular goal, and that's to make this a great place to live. I wanted to showcase these people, give their perception of the place that they call home. This is allredding.
Camaron Hooks, welcome to the allredding podcast. It's my pleasure to get to chat to you today. All guests on the allredding podcast get one of our tumblers, but this one's it's got something in it that's just for you.
Really?
Yeah. It's not ice. It sounds like ice, but it's not ice.
That sounds 9mm-ish.
I'm just saying you might want to wash it before you put water in it. I don't think lead is good to drink.
No, it's not. That's awesome. Yeah. Just put that on ice. That should be fine.
There you go. No, seriously, thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you, guys.
So, for our audience who doesn't know you, like I have the pleasure of knowing you, you are a law enforcement officer, a youth sports coach, a family man, and one of my closest friends. But interestingly, the reason that I asked you to be a guest here on the allredding podcast is you have a life story that I know will be an encouragement to those in our community. And so I wanted to talk to you today about you and kind of from the beginning to what brought us here today. So that's the goal, is to hear your story and some of the things that you learned along the way that you might be able to share toward the end of our time together with youth in our community or the parents of those youth in our community. So then let's get into it. I guess, where were you born? We'll start at the very beginning.
Well, like you said, my name is Camaron Hooks. I'm a dad. I got 3 beautiful kids and a beautiful wife. I was born actually in Berkeley, California, to 2 parents, and then I had an older brother. My family consisted of, I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers, so I was the middle dude, older brother and little brother. When I was super young, we lived in, I don't ever think we lived in Berkeley. For my first memories, we lived in Fremont. And I don't know if you know where Fremont is. It's like on the south end of the bay. Went to school in Fremont till about, I want to say like 3rd grade. I remember things by grade and not the year. Specifically because all of the like events in my life all lined up with like school, and that's like the only way I could categorize it. Okay. So if I say like, 8th grade year, I probably don't know what year it is, and I'll have to think about it. But so 3rd grade, we leave Fremont and we moved to Elk Grove. My dad he actually started off here in Redding. I think my dad was actually born in Redding, and his family lived all around here. So my dad moved down to just to give you a little side note, my dad lived down in Oakland, graduated from high school in Oakland, and then met my mom in the Bay Area. She's from Redwood City, and they met, fell in love. After my dad went to prison at a young age, they met afterwards, and he got a job as a vacuum pump technician, which was a really like booming field. He was making good money in the 90s too, like $20 an hour in the 90s, which was like decently good money. But he always had to commute to Santa Clara. So wherever we lived, he always commuted to Santa Clara. So when we moved from Fremont to Elk Grove, it was a decent commute for him. So he would just go down and stay with my great uncle Jimmy in Oakland while we stayed at the house in Elk Grove. And I did 4th grade there. My parents ended up separating, and it was like this big blowout fight. And my dad was like, he told me, he's like, hey, we're going to keep this a secret. We're leaving. Like, we're going to pack the house. We're going to leave, turn in all your school books. We're out of here. And as a kid, I think I was 3rd grade, so that'd be 8. Trying to like keep a secret like that. But it's also like, I didn't understand the gravity of like, we're leaving. Like, your mom's not coming with us. So like years later, that would end up like, I don't even want to say causing trauma, but like once I realized what was happening, like that kind of sucks, you know? So my dad comes back with a U-Haul, gets us all, drives away, calls my mom, and he's like, hey, I took the boys, you're not getting them back, we're leaving. And we talked to her on the phone, she's in tears, and that was the night we moved down to Oakland. I started school down there for 4th grade, I believe, 4th or 5th grade, down in Fremont. We lived over off of Central Avenue.
and I went to some elementary school down there.
Sounds like that's your third school in about 4 or 5 school years total.
So I went to Grimmer, then I went to, it was almost like a private school. We wore uniforms. I think it was a private school though, in Elk Grove. And then, so my third school within 4 years of schooling. Started school at Fremont, and then I'd go back and forth. My mom lived in Citrus Heights, but we still lived there. And then we moved from Fremont to Stockton, I think either later that year or 5th grade year. I believe it was 5th grade. Lived in Stockton for a little bit. Things got weird. My dad, I don't know, him and my mom reconnected or rekindled or whatever, and she ended up moving back with us in Stockton. But they weren't together, which was odd for us, but mom's back. So
But they were more like roommates?
Yeah, kind of like roommates, because my dad had his own room, but they would share the room sometimes. It was this weird dynamic to where he's like, we're not together, but then we are together. But then it was a bunch of awfulness. My older brother started getting into trouble.
How much older is he?
He is 2 years older than me. So
When your dad left, you said with the boys, what happened to your sisters?
So my sisters are both, I never call them that because I don't believe in calling them half sisters, but I have a sister on my mom's side and a sister on my dad's side. They never lived with us full time. They would come and live with us sparingly, but then go back to their other parent. My sister Frances, I think she was living in Chester. And then my sister Ariana was living in, I want to say her mom lived in Anderson. So she would either come here or wherever her mom was living. So they would come live with us summertime or something. I think the summer of 96, we all went on vacation to Disneyland, all of us together. And I don't know if you're aware of 90s family vacations, but we all had matching outfits.
That sounds, it's for, we're documenting history here. Is there pictures?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a photo of us in front of the old vintage Disneyland sign wearing Fila's, khaki shorts and a Fila polo.
I need this polo in my mind to be brightly colored so your parents couldn't lose you.
I think it was white. I think it was just a white polo, khaki shorts and the classic red, white, and blue Filas.
Okay.
And that was, I don't know why that was the thing to do was to everyone be matching back in the 90s.
Did mom or dad own stock in Fila, or were they on sale at Marshall's? Or
Nope,
how
no
did they become a
idea.
thing?
No idea. Probably at Mervin's. Mervin's was a thing. I know that if there's some younger listeners, they have no idea. We'll have to Google what a Mervin's is. But yeah, so I digress. My sisters didn't live with us at all. And when we lived in Fremont before we moved to Stockton, one of my cousins actually ended up living with us to help my dad with the kids. As an older cousin of mine, love her to death. And she moved with us to Stockton for a little while, and then she ended up moving out, and then my mom moved in after that. So things got started getting a little weird. My dad got hit on his motorcycle, and he had degenerative bone disease, and so he had to get a total hip replacement. So after he had his surgery back in, that had to have been '04, they were just prescribing pain meds like crazy. They were giving them out like candy. Dude, I remember him having bottles that were probably 8 inches tall, with 500 Vicodin and Norco in it. And so that's a little foreshadowing. So that ended up just kind of over time with the house in Stockton. My dad was I don't know if he was looking into trying to buy a property or what, but we ended up, I think it had to have been 2004. So I was in 7th grade in Stockton, and my brother was just getting into all kinds of trouble. There's a lot of gangs and bad kids to hang out with, and my brother started getting involved in decent amount of criminal activity with these kids in Stockton. So my grandmother actually, rest in peace, she had a stroke from smoking crack cocaine, actually.
Oh, geez.
And it
This is your dad's mom?
yeah, and she ended up having it disabled her, call that, where it made half her body numb.
Yeah, hemispherical.
Yeah, so she ended up being completely paralyzed, and she could only really move her, I want to say her left hand. So we moved up here to be around them and try and take care of them. So we ended up moving to this
trashy little apartment over off of Magnum's on Lake Boulevard.
And my mom would live there with us, and my dad would commute back and forth to Oakland.
So post hip replacement, he's still making that long commute for work.
Yeah. And he ended up having to have a second hip replacement too. So like he was just like in all sorts of hurt. Like he had degenerative bone disease, like I said. So it just kind of sped up the process. So he ended up having 2 total hip replacements in a matter of, I want to say like 10 years.
And how old is your dad at this point?
He had to have been almost 40, I want to say, because he's born in 65. So that would make him
About 40.
Yeah, about
That's
40.
a real young man to have 2 hip replacements.
And like
Back in the day, like athletic, like there's a picture of him. I got to try and find it. When we lived in Fremont, the kid across the street was like a basketball player, like tall kid, and is like trying to dunk on my dad. And my dad was like up in the air, like swatting the ball, like next to the rim. And he was 33 or 34 years old. So almost the same age as I am now, and just up. And there's a picture. My mom had to have taken it because we have it. It's a printed out picture. But I was like, dude, like stinking. He was fast. I remember he used to race these basketball players, high school kids, and smoke them barefoot in the street.
But importantly, how tall is your dad?
5'10".
Okay. So he's above the rim at 5'10".
Yeah, 5'10", above the rim, and like super fast. I have his broad shoulders, like super athletic guy. And like to give you like a little bit of backstory on my dad like had a really rough life growing up. Got into drugs, fighting with the cops. Redding PD knew his name real well, and like had a whole history of just being in drugs. His family's had issues with drugs. Like, so it was a well-known thing. He ended up going to prison for a few years. And then once he got out of prison, he was like, dude, I need to get my life together, and started working, like, and went to work to be like a staple, and like was successful. Wasn't doing dope anymore. Like super successful, was a working man, like gave all that up. And it was, he was a good man. He really was. Character-wise, I don't know what he was up to character-wise, but like hardworking man who loved his kids, I would absolutely say that 10 times out of 10. We're living in Redding off of Magnum's, going back and forth. And my dad reaches out to my uncle and is like, I want to buy some property. And where they were looking at like apartment complexes or something to start getting some income, you know, like. And my dad was always the one like everybody looked up to, like, hey, like when you have like a family member, you're like, hey, like in my family, it would be like, hey, let me hold some, like, let me get some money, you know?
Okay.
So that was my dad. We had an Escalade, you know, we always had a sound system in it. Like we were like, that was us, you know, like the successful ones. Like my brother still had his issues and was starting to run around and gangbang when we moved up here. But we moved from, Magnum's. Actually, to back up, before we moved, I met a dude that lived next door named Devin. Curly-headed dude, like for a white kid with a big afro, like we just hit it off. And he is like the sole reason I love baseball as much as I do today. I had never played baseball, never watched baseball really. Like we didn't even really go to A's games. Like as a kid, we were just A's fans because we're from Oakland.
But you still have that stupid frame around your license plate that says the A's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm insulting your roots.
You're still upset about 1989, aren't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Maybe more than a little. I'm so old, Cameron, that we used to get a thing at the house every day called a newspaper.
Yeah,
And
we used to throw those.
And I would open it up and look at the, all the stats because this was, pre-internet, obviously. And it was hard not to love McGuire and Canseco in that era.
Bash Brothers, dude.
Yeah, it was hard not to love them. But,
Everybody loved them.
But I did hate them as a Giants fan.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's just like old school rooted like sports hatred where you grew up loving a team.
Right.
And you just hated your rivals.
Right.
Like as a Raiders fan, there's 2 things that are promised. We're going to be disappointed, and we will always hate the Niners.
I think you could add a third thing. Everyone will always hate you too. Maybe.
I will say that's probably decently accurate.
Yeah.
Devin, best friend, still my best friend for life. We've been friends for going on 20 years, I think, maybe over 20 years now. To this day, still I could call him and he'd be there in a heartbeat. Like absolute best friend. So we moved from there. We moved to the west side of town, over off of Buenaventura.
And I went to 8th grade at a school that no longer exists called Buckeye Middle School up on Lake. But then now I'm 9th grade at Shasta.
I have the distinguished note on my resume that I am the last student body president for Buckeye Junior High School before it became unified into the Gateway Unified School District. It used to be an independent district.
Wow.
Yeah, we still had a mascot that you're not allowed to have anymore, and I was the last 8th grade student body president.
Wow.
I don't mean to flex.
I think we were there last, I don't know if they got rid of that school the following year, but it had to have been around 06, 07 when they were done and turned into Rocky Point Charter School.
Right.
So I don't know if we were the last class that graduated from there. I'd like to think so, which wouldn't make me important whatsoever. But
it could be that you broke the school.
yeah, that would be more accurate. I'm not a small individual, and I've broken a lot of things. We end up on the west side of town, and I'm going to Shasta. I start making some good friendships and going to high school, just being a regular high school kid. I had to walk to the bus stop barefoot in the snow, uphill both ways.
So much snow in the Redding area.
Yeah. But I used to have to walk to the bus all the time, walk back. The bus was all the way on Buenaventura by the animal hospital where the thermometer is out there.
Okay.
So I had to walk all the way back. Like, you know where Grandview is?
I do.
It's like the top of Grandview Hill was
Okay.
where we lived over there. So we had to walk all the way down Summit and then all the way down the backside, down Buenaventura to get to the bus. And then on hot days, walking all the way back up that hill was just, I had to put in my mind, just a few more steps. Just a few more steps. I actually have a scar from riding my longboard down that hill.
That's pretty small scar because that could have killed you.
It was huge back then, dude. It used to be like all of this, and it was a horrible decision. I'm not a skateboarder by any means, and I was a very large boy who hit probably Mach 1, got some speed wobbles, and thought I could run this out. I could not run it out. In fact, I did the exact opposite, and I fell it out.
Yeah.
I digress.
I'm enjoying
This
the
is
visual.
what we do.
Yeah,
we
I'm
get
enjoying
off
the
track.
visual.
So sophomore year goes by. My mom's still there. My dad's coming back on the weekends.
Is she living in the house?
Yeah, she's in the house with us. My two brothers are there. He's starting to get in trouble more with the law. Started to get in with some kids who were gangbanging up here. They had a family of Crips that were all from South LA, Riverside area that they had all actually lived up here, but it was almost like their families merged up here. Cause my dad grew up with their family. So we knew them, not from birth, but my dad and their dad all hung out. So all these kids, it was just we all knew each other. And to be fair, back in 05 when we moved up here, there weren't a lot of African-American families that weren't related to me.
Okay.
They were one of the only other ones, and they were all light-skinned like me. So we all knew each other. But yeah, my brother started getting into trouble with them and ended up in juvenile hall quite a bit. So he was in and out of jail. Cops would come to our house all the time. But I was always I kind of fell into that life for a little bit, but I've never really, I always would go hang out with Devin, go play video games and go play baseball. We ended up making a game called Ghetto Ball where we took a wiffle ball and we covered it in newspaper and then would tape the newspaper around it so we could hit it with an actual bat and it not break.
Okay.
And you can throw really good breaking balls with a
ghetto ball?
With a ghetto ball.
Okay.
And so we made up our own rules. We would have teams, we would have championships. When we were on Magnums, dude, there was it would just be teams of two because you'd have a pitcher and a fielder essentially. And you had to throw it between the runner and the base to get them out or peg them.
Okay.
But if you
I'd play this game now.
yeah, so if you had two people on and you had a ghost runner, you'd have to be okay, ghost runner at second, but you'd still have to get the actual runners out.
Okay.
So that's how we would play, dude. We had tournaments, dude, it was fun, and other kids in the neighborhood started catching on there, dude. There'd be 8 kids in this tournament, teams of 2. And
so instead of sandlot, it's more like asphalt lot. Ghetto ball.
well, there was little patches of grass at these apartments, and
Okay.
one of them was the prime real estate because there was an oak tree that had a patch of bark missing that was a strike zone.
Okay.
So if you hit this tree, it's a strike, no matter what. So if you threw a breaking ball that came out and hit the tree, it was a strike. And so that was the best one to play on. But the neighbors right there were kind of meth heads and they didn't really like us playing there.
Okay.
They'd come out clicking at you and I'd be like, get off our lawn. I'm like, this is everybody's lawn. It was not everybody's lawn.
Was it actually their lawn?
It was actually like right outside their apartment.
Okay.
So like they would,
Rightfully so. Be
So meth or not meth, they
I mean, yeah, we were like cheering and yelling and getting arguments and start trying to kick dirt on the umpire, who's not an umpire. It's just your other
friend.
teammate. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So anyways, I never wanted to like get into that lifestyle, but I think as a young half black, half white kid who's like from the hood, that was just kind of like the role that I think we like assumed we should take. You know what I mean? Like it was, and it's not like there was this outside person telling me like, no, you need to gangbang or like you need to do this. But I think it was just like, I don't even want to say society really, but I think that's just like the norm, you know, like that's what we were supposed to do. Like I'm supposed to be hood. I'm supposed to sag my pants and hang out and be a gangster. Like that's like I had cousins in Oakland who would be like, bro, like, why are you doing it that way? Like you're not real. I'm like, why does that make me not real? Because I like to play video games and play baseball and hang out with my white friends, you know, like. So it was like almost like this like internal battle of like, who do I actually want to be? Like, who am I going to become? You know, like I had gold teeth at one point with my.
I have seen a picture of that
with my initials on them. Like I had long hair, I had cornrows, like, and there was videos at one point of us dancing to E40s. Tell me when to go. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, it was just. That was just us back then, like, and to this day, like, I still enjoy some good hip hop, but I also enjoy country music. Like, I enjoy all sorts of music. So my brother's in and out of jail. I think it's junior year, and things start taking a like downhill turn. My mom, I think she's just severely unhappy and meets some dude on the internet and decides she's gonna go be with this guy in Texas. So she packs up all of her stuff into her like 05 Isuzu Trooper, takes off.
Any warning, or did she just go?
She did. She essentially was like, yeah, like I'm taking off, I'm getting out of here. And my dad and her were like not like getting along very well. So she was like, I'm taking off, I'm out of here. So she takes off. My brother's in jail, and it's me and my little brother. And so my aunt ends up moving in because we turned the garage into like a bedroom for my grandmother because she had to have like a medical bed and all this like equipment in there, and he put like an air conditioner in there for her and insulated everything so she could be comfortable and live with us. And so
At this point, when your aunt moves in, is your grandmother still alive?
yeah, she's still alive. Yeah, she didn't actually pass away until like I want to say like way later. Yeah, I was an adult by then, I think. So I think this is 15-year-old me, maybe 16-year-old me. Junior year, my sister had left. We had in our house was like this weird upstairs, downstairs, but it was like the top floor had 2 bedrooms on it. My grandma's bedroom that was the garage converted, and then the master bedroom was downstairs, and like the entire bottom floor was the master bedroom.
Okay.
But it had like on the side under the garage, the people before us had converted it into a studio. And so this studio my sister lived in. So that's where like her and her friends would hang out. Well, she moved out, and my aunt moved in, and I did not get along with my aunt because it came with all of her kids, and my aunt adopted my other aunt's kids because she had her kids taken away from her. And I want to say it's like 6 or 7 kids plus like 3 of her own kids. So like our house was packed, and like me and my little brother had our own rooms. And so they ponied up in like the rest of the house.
So you're talking like 10, 12 kids in the house.
Dude, there was a lot of us in the house. And like, so my little brother ends up going to the Bay Area with my dad. I'm up in the room by myself. Like I put a lock on my room because like they kept Jimmy and my door open, and like I had an Xbox. And like would take the controllers or like mess with stuff in my room. So like I went to Home Depot. I bought a like keyed bar. I bought a drill that I returned because I only needed it for one job.
You rented?
Yes, which I later found out is wrong. I didn't know that was a wrong thing. So I'm sorry. I drilled a hole. I put it in.
Home Depot doesn't yet subscribe to the allredding podcast channel, so you're probably good.
Yeah, Home Depot, they'll be mad at me. I was 15. I didn't know what I was doing.
If Lowe's is listening, Mr. Hooks could use a new drill.
Dude. So I put a lock on it. I get home one day, the lock's busted, and I'm like, dude, this is like, I've had enough. So I call my dad, and I'm like, hey, dude, something's got to give. Like, I can't keep doing this. And my dad was like, not coming up as often anymore, but was still like, he'd give me, because I was on my own. I was by myself.
So when you said your little brother left your dad, you didn't mean like for that week or something. Like they were kind of living down there.
Yeah,
primarily.
he moved down, and my older brother, so my older brother, my junior year of high school, got hit with 2 felonies in Sacramento for armed robbery and went to prison. So he ended up getting 2 strikes and went to prison for quite a few years. So he was out of the picture for a while. So it was just me, and I was like, Dad, I can't like do this. Like, I'm gonna have to like leave. And he's like, well, go live in the studio. And he was like, but you're gonna have to find a roommate, because like I was charging rent for that studio. And I was like, okay. So I find a roommate, one of my buddies, moves in with me, and we're paying like $200 a month. You know.
So was the idea like flip flop? You know, your aunt and all your cousins would live in the main part of the house, and you'd live in the studio with a roommate,
and just stay separate. Just because we just kept getting into it, there was arguments. Like it was like, don't go in my fridge. I'm like, where else am I supposed to get food? Like it was to the point to where like I would go and order food and not refrigerate it and just keep it in my room, so that way it wouldn't get eaten and I'd have food for the week. But like I didn't have a fridge to put it in. Like I would order a pizza and just leave it on my dresser and go warm it up every other day. Like, which is one of the reasons I ended up gaining so much weight, is because I'd go down the road to Jack in the Box over off a railroad and get like a $5 Jumbo Jack deal. And like that was my dinner. It was $5. It was a bunch of food, and it was probably 3,000 calories, but like that was my.
So at this point, then mom's off to Texas. Dad's living in the Bay Area with your little brother. You're living with kind of strangers, your aunt and then the cousins, and you're now having to pay rent with a roommate at 16 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
how'd you pay rent?
He actually had a job delivering pizzas, so he paid the rent for. Like he was like, dude, I just want to be on my own too. Like I'll pay the $200 a month if you just let me live there. And I was like, sweet. And it was one just big studio, so we just had separate beds on each side of the room, and it was kind of cool, you know, like a little bachelor pad at 16, like still going to high school. I had a Mazda MX-6. It was a 91 Mazda MX-6. It was
You're talking about this car like you still love it,
dude. $400, and it had one of the best features in a car that they don't make anymore. It had oscillating vents.
Explain. I've never seen this dark magic.
You push a button for the air conditioning vents, and they rotated.
Okay.
In the car. I've never seen it since.
Okay.
Like it was one of the, I don't know why they didn't do it, but it also had the automatic seatbelt thing. My driver's side door didn't open from the outside. The windows didn't work, but the sunroof did. So like taking girls on dates was rough, because I'd have to leave my door cracked and make it look like I was getting in my own car. And then I'd go and open their door, and then I'd be like, you're not going to get my door for me? And they'd be like, oh, and reach over. Like, lo and behold to them, they had no idea that I couldn't actually
That's
get
a good trick. That's not bad.
You know what, dude? I'm a wise man, you know? So,
we're going to get to the end of the story eventually, but I want to leapfrog. Did you have to employ that same trick on the same 91 Mazda with Mrs. Hooks?
No, actually, I had upgraded since then.
Okay.
So,
all right. We'll get to it then.
So, maybe I'm giving you too much backstory.
No, all kidding aside, because you and we spend a lot of time together and we laugh a lot. There's things that this life that you have led have taught you that I think are critical for young people to hear. And I'm not sure what the precise demographic of the allredding podcast is, but my guess is not a lot of young people are tuning in, but a lot of parents are tuning in. And those parents are desperately concerned about raising their children in modernity. And some of the things you have to say might clue them in as to what those kids might be dealing with, because we're going to get, to your professional career now and your work with kids now. So no, please continue.
So it ends up going bad, and I end up leaving, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like,
even though you're in the studio, it's still.
Yeah. It ended up turning into like, my dad was like, hey, I was fighting with my aunt's kids, my cousins. And he was like, hey, I'm going to have you move out. Like, I need to charge rent for that place, and I need more. I can get more money. And I was like, okay.
And he's like, you can come down here with me or you can stay up there, but you'll have to find a place to stay. I was like, okay. So I end up moving in with I think that's when I moved in with Devin. His cousin and, I think it was his cousin, and it was his uncle's place that he owned, but his uncle's mom had passed away, so he moved out, and so it was just us at the house. And
Just you and Devin?
Me, Devin, his cousin, and a good friend of ours, and I think one other person. So it was like pretty much just like Devin had just graduated. I started my senior year, and so I lived there.
Did Devin go to Shasta with you?
No, he actually was the starting first baseman for Central Valley's class of 09. Yeah.
CV.
MVP, baby. No, Devin was a baller. And so, and we'd kept in contact through all of this. And so I ended up moving in with them, and I had to get a job because I had to pay rent. So I ended up I was mowing lawns for a guy that, so as crazy it is, so I go into, and this is just how this is how when you look back and see how the Lord has worked in your life and see all of the little things, that at the time you're not even going to realize. And I don't even think I was a Christian at this point. But I went into
Can I just say, you really believe in hydration?
Oh, yeah. Well, if I don't, my raspy voice, I can't actually project.
That'd be weird in a dark room whispering.
Yeah. So if I just keep talking like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you quit smoking?
Yeah. I was one of those commercials. Yeah. It's been a while.
Dude, you're dating yourself, because I remember those commercials.
Yes.
They were heinous. I never wanted to smoke because of those commercials.
I don't think.
Brilliant advertising.
Oh, dude, I was like, oh my word, dude, who would do this?
Yeah. That old lady smoking a cigarette through her trach.
I arrested a guy with one of those before, just a hole, and he had to cover it to talk, and it was horrifying.
Yeah.
It was one of the scariest times of my life.
I know that whole story, and it is 100% not allredding appropriate and devastating to hear.
Yes.
Let alone live.
Yes. So I go into the Smart Center because I need a job, and I'm 16 years old or 17 years old. I think I was 16 still. I just started my senior year, and my great uncle had passed away. Huge influence in my life. One of the greatest dudes out there.
Why?
Why was he? So he was he was one of those dudes who was always there. He shot us, always would shoot you straight. If my dad ever needed, hey, I need some money, always gave him a look. My uncle was retired Air Force. He worked for the Postal Service and was retired, I think, the entirety of I don't think he ever worked. He had cancer. They told him he was going to die. They took out 3/4 of his lung. So he lived with a lung and a quarter for 15 more years. He lived in Oakland. There was a picture of him on the steps of the U.S. Capitol with Huey P. Newton and all the Black Panthers standing there with their fists up. He was just this historical staple, and he was always there for us. There was never a time that you could call Uncle Jimmy that he wouldn't be there. And I just went and put some flowers and a flag on his grave on Veterans Day, and dude, it makes me, I wish he could see me now. I so desperately wish he could see my success and see the man I am, because I know he'd be so proud. This is what he wanted. He didn't want us doing a bunch of dumb stuff. He didn't want us giving in. I remember one time we were at the hospital in Oakland for one of his checkups, and my older brother, being who he is, sees a police officer walk in, and he immediately starts going, making pig noises, right?
Okay.
And he's like, I smell bacon, just causing ruckus. And so me, being his little brother, start to join in, not really understanding the weight of what we're doing. And so the officer actually comes up to us and he goes, what did you just say to me? And my brother was like, you heard what I said. And the guy's like, come here, and finds my uncle and tells him what he said. And I can say this because my uncle can't be criminally prosecuted. He hit both of us upside the head with his cane and looked at us in the eyes and told us and said, apologize to this man. And we said sorry while holding our heads. And he said, and I'll never forget this, he said, you make fun of this man right here. And my uncle was old school, so he's like, this white man in Oakland, California, as a police officer, when all them brothers down the street are whooping you up in an alleyway and taking your wallet, that bacon is going to be the only thing that's going to come save your life. You thank this man for his service and you do not disrespect him. And that'll always stick with me because all my life, essentially, I was told law enforcement's racist. Like that cops they're not a good thing. They don't like black people. Like that's not us, you know? And that was the only family member that I had that was like, no, like these are good men and women who will die for you. And they don't even know you from Adam. And
So you got an uncle, a great uncle, who's living in the United States in a time when the color of his skin mattered a lot more than we hope it matters today. He literally stood on the nation's capital with the Black Panthers, and he's teaching you boys respect for law enforcement.
Yeah.
In the 90s,
yeah.
post Rodney King.
Yeah, like a good man. And like we were at the hospital at Kaiser in the heart of Oakland, and he's telling us to respect this man. And so that'll always stick with me.
Do you think that was one of the first things that caused you to think about a career in law enforcement?
No, actually, like not even a little bit. I never even thought that like that is where my life would end up. Just because of who I am and my character, I started pursuing a career in acting. I know that you probably know this, but like I was in a play in Stockton when I did improv comedy.
Okay.
I loved the show Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Okay.
So like in 8th grade, I was Kaniki in Grease. Yeah, I sang Grease Lightning.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to out you. I know that this is supposed to be your story, but Camaron Hooks sings so well. He's quiet in church, but on the handful of occasions I've heard you sing, it's remarkable. So you could definitely be in Grease. I could see that.
Well, thank you. I don't think I did a good job in Grease, but they made me like take lead because the guy who played Danny Zuko was not a good singer. And so like I had to sing the part, but like it was not a very well production, but you know, we did our best.
Do you know all of your brothers in law enforcement can hear you say right now that you were in Grease and that you still know the character names?
Hey, you think I care?
I just know what's going to be said to you at the next briefing.
Bro, I wish. I'll stand up and tell them exactly the lyrics.
I'm going to need you to sing those lyrics. I know your chief personally. I'm going to talk to him.
Not a chance. Not a chance. So my great uncle had passed away in 2008, and my dad ended up giving me my Mazda. R.I.P. The girl went belly up. Okay. And I didn't have a car. And so I ended up getting my uncle's it was like an 06 Blazer. It was not the cool Blazer. It was like the grandpa Blazer.
The S10 Blazer.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So it was not like the fancy Blazer. Like the air conditioning did not work. And I think the best feature on it was it had power windows. So during the summertime when it was 115 here, we could roll the windows down at least.
My wife owned a copy. Tell me it was green and gold. Was it green and gold?
No, it was red. It was bright fire engine red.
Okay. So when I met my wife, she had a green and gold S10 Blazer. The air conditioning stopped working. Worst vehicle ever. Chevy, bring your lawsuit. This is what I do for a job. Yeah. Horrible car.
Oh, dude, it was horrible. And like at some point, like the power steering pump blew out and we had to fix that. The radiator blew out, had to fix that. But it would get me from A to B. And that car will play a vital role in this story.
Okay.
So I'm driving that, and I end up going. One of our roommates ended up losing his job, and so he was like, "Hey, I have to move out." And so we didn't have enough rent to make it, and I was like, "Crap."
Is this what took you to the Smart Center?
No. So sorry, to back up, the Smart Center. I go into the Smart Center to find a job, and I end up talking with a dude. And he's like, we just start hitting it off. And this dude is like a super cool dude to this day. He's actually a teacher for the Reading School District. We ended up reconnecting some few years later, and his little brother went to Enterprise.
Okay.
And we were like the exact same person at each school for like 4 of those schools. We were just that crazy outgoing person who was a little bit portly, but we were just those guys for each school, which was so crazy that I ended up meeting him. But he's like, dude, you know what? I'm going to call my dad. And I was like, what? He goes, my dad does lawn care business, and I'm going to hook you up with him. And calls that day and gets me a job mowing lawns.
Okay.
And that dude was I think he went to Neighborhood Church, the guy who owned it, and worked at Costco. And so I would go with him after school, and I would go mow lawns. So fast forward to, I want to say it's October, my senior year of high school, and I have to leave the house. So I'm like, okay, oh, I guess. So I call my dad. I'm like, hey, I'm coming back to Oakland. Like, I got nowhere to go. So I moved down to Oakland, and I started going to high school down there at a school in East Oakland called Sojourner Truth Academy. It was like an independent study because it was too late to get enrolled in Oakland Tech, which would have been way better because it was right down the street. But I had to drive all the way to East Oakland, and I lived in North Oakland on 47th. So it was a long drive, but I only had to go like 3 days a week.
Okay.
And so that way I could take care of my little brother. Older brother's still in prison, and my sister had moved down with my dad in Oakland.
How's your dad doing at this point?
At this point,
we left him with huge bottles of Norco and
so he severely digressed. He slipped and fell on a pallet jack at work, broke his shoulder, and had no idea because he was on so many pain meds that he had no idea that he had shattered his shoulder and has to go and get surgery for that. So my dad's like hurting, but he was still working for a while until he figured out his shoulder was broken. So I moved down there, and my dad has digressed quite a bit, but he's not like to the point to where, actually, no, he broke his shoulder a little bit later. So he's not that bad yet, but he's still not in a good place. So I'm down there. He's still commuting back and forth to work, and I was taking my little brother to school and trying to do that. And I was like, you know what, dude, I want to go back to Shasta. Like, I have to go back. And so I ended up getting my credits up, and I told my dad, I was like, hey, I want to go back. And he's like, okay. Like, if you want to go, then go, you know? And so I'm like, okay, sweet. Because I ended up going back to Oakland twice. So I think that was after I graduated. So I ended up coming back from Oakland, I kept in contact with one of my greatest, she's a huge pillar in my life. Her name is Molly Hewen. She's actually a counselor at one of the schools here locally. Molly kept in contact with me when she knew I had to go back to Oakland. We would email back and forth. She always checked on me and my brother. She would always ask how he was doing. When she learned he went to prison, she got teary-eyed. She cared about us, and she was just an English teacher, you know. But she loved us. And to this day, every time I see her, I go give her a hug. And I told her, you have no idea what you mean to me. For my story, you're in it because you were one of those people that helped me survive. You kept encouraging me to do my schoolwork, make sure you can come. You're always welcome to come back. If you need help coming back, let me know. Because she knew my home life wasn't the best. So I moved back to Redding, and I'm like, dude, I got to get a job. I keep mowing lawns.
Where are you living?
So I ended up moving back in with Devin.
Okay.
And I start.
Is he still living in the bachelor pad that was his uncle's?
Yes.
Or is he back
Same
with
place.
Okay.
Same place. So I moved back in with them. Keep going to high school. But this time it's a little different because I wasn't getting as much money, and most of my money was going towards rent and gas. But I was just trying to go to school. And so I would go and buy a loaf of bread and peanut butter and jelly, and I'd leave them in the back of my Blazer. And I'd go out there at lunch, right before lunch, and I'd make a sandwich. And then at lunchtime, I'd just go grab my sandwich and be like, oh yeah, I brought my lunch today. When in reality, I was broke. I actually would go around.
Is this out of the back of that bright red Blazer?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would go around and ask kids, because Shasta used to sell 2 cookies for $1. Be like, hey, can I get $1 so I can get some cookies? People were like, yeah, and give me $1. Well, I would do that to 10 people. So that way I could put gas in my car so I could get back and forth to school. And I would go into I was a big boy, and I didn't have a lot of food. So I would go on my way to PE, stop in the lunchroom and say hi to the lunch ladies. And they knew I was poor, and they would feed me. They would give me lunch before lunch was ready. And they always, those lunch ladies, shout out to those lunch ladies. Wonderful. They just took me in and would feed me every day, without fail. There was no questions asked. I would come in, they'd be like, hey, you want some of this? We got some of this ready, and give me a plate of food.
What was your great uncle's name?
His name was Leon Wright.
So we got Leon, we got Molly, and the wonderful but unnamed lunch ladies.
Yeah. And so I ended up graduating, and after we graduated, the house was getting they were going to sell it. So they were like, hey, everybody's got to go, kind of thing. And I was like, crud, you know, well, I got nowhere to go. I graduated high school. Fun fact about my graduation, my dad showed up, heard them call my name,
called my cell phone and was like, hey, I heard them call your name. I'm out of here. I have no pictures of my dad at my graduation. My mom showed up.
From Texas?
So she actually ended up moving back because dude, it was a horrible, horrible situation. Their house gets like burglarized, and like this dude was living with his mom. So
The guy in Texas?
yes, my mom moved in with like this dude and his mom.
Okay.
And like their house gets broken into, all of my mom's stuff gets stolen, including like my birth certificate and my brother's birth certificates. I don't know why she kept them and moved to Texas. On her way out to Texas, her car breaks down in Phoenix. So she ends up having to like rent a car to finish driving to Texas. It was like a horrible deal. So she ended up coming back and living in the Bay Area with my dad. So she moved back down to Oakland with my dad. So my dad, my mom, and my little brother are living there. My brother's still in prison. My older brother's still in prison. So I end up leaving the house, going back down to Oakland, packed up all my stuff, went back down to Oakland. My mom and dad like can't seem to get along, so my mom moved out and she was living with some lady I can't remember. And so it was just me, my dad, and my little brother. I remember it being like Thanksgiving. Oh, actually, let me back up. So there was another lady that was a huge. She was a teacher at Sojourner Truth, and we were so broke at Thanksgiving that I was down because I ended up coming back for the second semester for senior year.
Okay.
So I was down there for Thanksgiving, and like my dad he was a gambling addict. He was doing dope and was gambling, and we were like losing like our stuff. You know, like the house was about to be repossessed, and my other uncle ended up paying so that way we didn't lose the house. We were so broke. The lady was one of my teachers, and I can't remember her name to save my life. She was just like an old little sweet black lady who just loved me to death. And I got an award for having like the highest GPA in the school.
Okay.
And she was like, hey, baby, I don't know your situation at home, but the Lord's telling me to give you this. And she gave me a gift card for Safeway for Thanksgiving dinner. So, and we had nothing. Like I had some old boxes of mac and cheese, and like I didn't know how we were going to eat because my dad just spent all of his time at the casino. Like he was like in severe amount of debt. Like we had nothing. And that lady was the only reason we had Thanksgiving. Like I ended up driving down to the Oaks Clubs where my dad used to play cards at the casino in Emeryville, telling him like, hey, I'm going to go pick up food for Thanksgiving. So I went and picked it up. I made it all. I called him and told him it was ready. And he brought home like a prostitute with him who went and shot up in our bathroom. Like there was like blood on the floor in the bathroom. Like that's how far gone it had gotten. And so I'm like, dude, like this is getting out of hand. Like I need to go back to Redding to graduate. And like that was one of the catalysts where I was like, dude, I got to get out of here. Like, dude, my dad's going downhill. Like, and it was just a problem. I remember waking up like 3:00 in the morning some nights, and my dad wouldn't be home. So I'd lock the house up, drive down the casino, see his car in the parking lot, walk into the casino, which is so odd that like a 17-year-old's walking in the casino and nobody questions me at all.
Right.
Because I had been there so often to go and try and find my dad, and he's asleep, looking like a homeless man at a table, like conked out, like at a gambling table. Like, bro, like it was so sad. So sorry to jump back. So I moved back down to Oakland, and it has gotten like exponentially worse. Like my dad's starting to like, he's like starting to tweak, you know, like, and he's starting to
fair to say he's lost his job at this point.
Yeah. So like he had jacked his shoulder up, and he was out on disability. When he got cleared to go back to work, came back, but he was taking so many pills that, and they knew it. They were like, hey man, we're going to let you go. So they fired him, but he ended up getting medical for like a certain amount of time. So like they kept giving him pills. So they gave him like a whole bunch of pills, like, and so he's like going severely downhill, and like, I'm just watching this, and I can feel like the darkness, you know, like it's just starting to get dark. Like there's loan sharks. My dad was opening accounts at banks because he knew he could overdraw at $850 and opened like 5 or 6 bank accounts at different banks to overdraw it to go and gamble with. And if he'd win, he would like either blow the money or like pay off some loan sharks. Like we had loan sharks driving by our house in like a maroon Cadillac, just driving by and be like, hey, where's your dad at? And I'm like, I don't know, man. You probably go check the casino. Like, tell him I came by and take off. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to get killed down here.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to take my little brother to school. Like, horrible deal. And so I'm like, dude, he was getting to the point to where I couldn't be there anymore. Like, my dad took his like, starts freaking out thinking somebody's went in his room and like stole some stuff. And he was not allowed to have a firearm and like shoots at a car out front. Like, it's getting dangerous at this point.
He's getting super paranoid.
Yeah, super paranoid. Like, I'd catch him. Like, I don't know if you, like, people who smoke crack, they used to take a glass pipe and some Brillo pad and then smoke it. And so I caught him with some Brillo pad. I'm like, what are you doing smoking crack with the hobos? And he was like, none of your business. Flame out. Like, none of your business. Start freaking out. And so it was in January of, had to been 2011.
That's the year you graduated?
I graduated 2010.
Okay.
So I graduated in June of 2010, and I went back down there in like the fall of, it was like after summer. So I went back down there, and I was like, you know what, dude, I got to get out of here. Like, he was falling asleep with cigarettes lit. Like, he was so zonked out on pills, he'd be like falling and stumbling over. And I remember telling my brother, like, hey, I got to go. Like, I'll come back for you, but like, I can't be here. Like, if I'm going to be somebody, I got to go.
How do you think you knew that at that age? I mean, that's pretty young. You're a pretty young man, 17, 18.
I think I just turned 18. That's when I got this tattoo. My sister actually took me to go get it in Oakland.
Okay.
And so I don't know. I know that if I didn't leave, I would end up like all the rest of them. Like, I couldn't do it. You know, like I was like, I can't keep being here, you know? And so I called, that's where the Blazer comes back into play.
Okay.
My dad took the keys to my Blazer and pawned it at an auto loan pawn shop off of International down the street. Off Hegenberger. So you know where the Oakland Coliseum is?
Yep.
Across the way, there's a Walmart.
Okay.
And there's like, if you keep taking Hegenberger down, you get to the airport. There was an auto loan place down in that little industrial district. We drove down there. He pawned my car and takes it to go gamble with, ends up winning some money and gets it out. And he's like, oh, we got to pawn the car again. So like at this point, I don't really have a car because at like 2:00 in the morning, the repo people come. My dad had gotten so high, he crashed the Ford and tried to get me to like file a false police report saying somebody hit him in the parking lot of Laney College. Like,
okay.
I was like, no, I'm not doing that. The repo man comes to take, like, my dad had been hiding. He had been hiding from the repo man and like would take the car. That was his excuse to go to the casino. It was like, oh, I need to hide because they know our address. So he'd go and park at the casino.
Your car or his car?
The Escalade.
Okay.
Because they were repossessing it. And so the dude shows up one night and I hear the truck. It's like 2:00 in the morning. And this is like a repo man in Oakland. So like he's got to be very careful.
Right. And fast.
Yeah. And so I open the front door and the dude like pauses and I'm like, hey bro, here's keys, take it. Like, he's sleeping, just take it. Like, and you're not going to be in any trouble. I know you've been looking for it. Like, dude, just take him. So he takes that and the Ford, he had like a little Ford Focus, was just totaled. And so he takes my car. So I have no car. And so I called Devin and I'm like, hey, I need you. Like, I can't be here anymore. So I packed up my bags, grabbed my 2 pillows that had these awful 80s print green pillowcases, which I still have today. My son uses them actually.
Okay.
And a snowboard that I wanted.
Then I've probably seen those when your son's at my house.
Yep.
And
And
sleep over.
yeah.
And you said a snowboard?
And a snowboard I won at Silver Grad that I was far too fat for.
I was just going to say, given the scar on your elbow, you should stay off of board sports.
I've never really been on like an actual snowboard with bindings and stuff.
Okay.
It was a 155, which turns out for an overweight boy, I needed way bigger than a 155.
Doesn't slide so good on the snow.
Nah. So I called Devin and I'm like, hey, I need to get out of here. And he's like, cool, we'll be there tonight. 3 boys from Redding, California, drive down to Oakland in the middle of the night and come get me. I walked into my dad's room and I was like, hey, I love you, but I'm not going to sit here and watch you kill yourself. Like, I got to go make a name for myself. And I kissed him on the forehead and I said, I'm out of here. Like, and I think it was like the day after his birthday. Like, I'd made him a cake for his birthday, but he's so high, I didn't care.
and I bounced. I got in this Honda and I'm like, hey, they're like, hey, can we get food? And I'm like, yeah, but we got to be quick. Like, bro, no offense, but like 3 white boys in a 2-door Honda Civic in Oakland right now, like it is not a safe place. So we go to McDonald's and then we hit the highway and drive all the way back. This is how I got saved. I'm in the drive-thru of Burger King with Devin and I'm telling him about my life. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like in to give a little backstory, Devin's mom and stepdad were drug addicts who had gotten saved. And so Toby used to play at the church. Toby played a huge role too, because he was just always wanting us to go to church. And if I ever stayed the night at Devin's house, I'd always have to go to church. And that
was kind of the rule. I remember you telling me
that was the rule.
Was.
So if I got to stay the night on Saturday, I had to go to church on Sunday. So we'd always go. And like we were kids, we weren't really paying attention, but I always had to go. And so we're sitting there and we're eating this Burger King. And he was like, dude, I think you need to like fall on your face. And he used the phrase, he said, essentially, you need to claim spiritual bankruptcy. And I was like, bro, you've got nothing left. Like, this is the bottom of the barrel. Like, we don't have anything left. Like, if God can save me, he can save you. Like, but we need to cry out to Jesus. Like, and you need to ask the Lord to save you. And we went and parked, and I asked Jesus to save my life. Like, I was like, I need you, Lord. Like, I don't have anything left. Like, I don't know where to go. Like, my mom's gone. My dad's a dope addict. Like, I've got one friend, like, I need something. I don't know what else to do. And the Lord was like, come on in. And so that was the start of my faith. And so when they came down, it was
weird. There's like allergies up in this room.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Dude, it's because it's stuffy.
It's probably that's it.
And so when they came and got me, it was just like, dude, praise the Lord. Like, these boys came to Oakland, California, like, didn't care like how dangerous it is. They drove straight down into the heart of Oakland to come get little old me because they loved me. And it was like, that's the 99 and the 1, right? Like,
you're right.
He goes running off into this dangerous place to find the one, because that's the one who needs it. That's the one who needs saving. And they came down and they came and got me. And it was like, dude, those boys, it was Devin, Tyler, and Lucas. And I threw the snowboard in the back and my 2 bags and
2 great pillows.
And my 2 great pillows. And that was it. Started going to church and at Calvary Chapel that had moved out to Palisadro.
Where are you living?
So I actually started to stay with Devin again, but there was no room for me. So I ended up just sleeping on the couch. And so we were going to church, and Josh Jarrett was my youth pastor, and I enrolled in college. And actually, I don't know if I had enrolled in college yet. I sleeping on the couch, and there's like not a lot of room for me. And the owner of the house was like, hey, man, you kind of got to find a place to stay. So I called a buddy of mine from high school, and I was like, hey, can I stay with you guys? Because Uncle Bill was letting me paint. So I was making some money, but I wasn't making very much. And his dad was like, yeah, he can stay with us for a little bit. So like I had my own room, and I would come and go as I pleased. But after a little bit, I think it was like a month or 2, he was like, hey, you got to find somewhere else to go. And so at this point, I'm 18 years old and I have nowhere to go. And I had met this dude's mom and stepdad like one time in high school. They took me tubing. And I was just this chubby ghetto kid with long hair wearing a 3X tall t-shirt. And like
on like Eskimo Hill?
No. They took us tubing on the boat.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd never really gone tubing. And so like they took me on the boat. I remember I had these big old fake cubic zirconium earrings, and I lost one of them tubing, and I was pissed, dude. I was like, dude, those were like $17. And so, and I always had the big outrageous ones just because I had really big ears. And so I called and I was like, hey, can I like talk to your mom and stepdad and see if they'd let me live with them? Steve and Stacy. Steve and Stacy are probably one of the most important people in my life because they were like, yeah, you can come live with us.
And you've met these folks one time.
I've met them one time. And like, they're not believers. They didn't know me. Like, and they only knew of me as like this rough kind of ghetto kid who
who they had met through their son one time from high school, but they still took a chance on me. They even bought me, Stacy said, you have the only two exceptions. You have to go to school. You have to get a job. Those are my only two rules, and you can live with us. I was like, deal. So I enrolled in school, and I started checking everywhere for a job. Dude, no one would hire me with no work. I couldn't even get a job at McDonald's.
This is a hard time in the economy too, right? We're talking like 2011, 2012.
This is 2011. Yeah, 2011, almost 2012. And
right. So the real estate market's crashed.
Yep. And it's dead of summer. And I'm, or maybe it's like the tail end of summer, beginning of fall. So I enrolled in Shasta College. And I call her mom. Mom got me a bike. It was like I didn't know GMC made bicycles. It was a GMC like bicycle, or Denali is what it said on it. I don't know. It was a road bike. I ended up getting a job. I went to Ross, and she helped me buy, I was on food stamps, and she helped me buy, which by the way, food stamps, like, and this is just another thing that mom did for me, but food stamps gave me like $30 too much, and then was like, hey, you owe us $30, and sent it to collections.
19-year-old kid.
Yes.
Their mistake.
Yes. And sent it to collections. And she paid that for me because so that way it wouldn't hit my credit. And this was like, I didn't even realize it went to collections until like almost a year later. But she took me to Ross. She bought me some dress clothes that I liked. Turns out these are like vacationing dad clothes. These are not like nice dress clothes, but I got a pair of khakis and I go and interview at Round Table. And I got the job shaking a sign for 2 hours a day for like 6 hours a week. I rode my bicycle from Bella Vista all the way to Round Table on Hartnell. I had to bring a change of clothes because I was dripping sweat because it's 108 outside.
Until October.
Yes. And then I changed and then would go shake a sign. And then I would call a buddy and pray to God that a buddy of mine with a truck could come get me and give me a ride. Until I'm shaking a sign out one day, and there's a dude named Jim who owned the Showboat Lounge. And Jim drives by with a 93 Thunderbird and with a for sale sign in it. So I walked up to Jim as he's getting out of the car. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. I was like, hey, I'd like to buy your car. And he's like, really? As he's old school, smoked a cigarette. He's like, really?
Actually, no, Jim.
Yeah.
I didn't know this connection.
Yeah.
So
I think Noel, I think that's what his name is.
I should have met Jim on a few occasions.
And so,
not at the Showboat.
I asked if you like to play pool, that's fine.
Yeah.
I asked to buy the car, and Jim's like, well, what can you afford? Because he had it for sale for $1,500. It's a V8 5.0, 93 Thunderbird. It's maroon, but faded maroon. And I was like, sir, to be honest, I think I make like $400 a month. I'm willing to give you half of that so I can pay for insurance and gas to get to work. And he looks at me and goes, you promise? I was like, yes, sir. He's like, we got a deal. You come by on the 1st every month and bring me cash, and I will sell you this car. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. We shake on it. I cash my check. I bring him $200, and he's like, yep, the car's yours. Hands me the keys. And I was like, there's no way. Like clockwork. The day I buy the car, I get a call from FedEx because I had applied to FedEx. And a buddy of mine was the manager there. And he's like, hey, you still looking for a job? And I was like, absolutely. So he's like, do you have reliable transportation? I was like, bro, I just bought a car like 10 minutes ago. And he's like, cool. Can you start tomorrow? Yep. See you tomorrow at 4:45 in the morning. I was like, let's go. So now I've got 2 jobs. I've got a car. And I'm like, dude, like I'm doing it. Like I'm starting to like build it up. So I don't have to ask for rides anymore. And then I get promoted from sign shaker to crew member. So now I'm making the pizzas, you know.
Moving on up.
Yeah, I'm moving on up. So fast forward to youth group, and I'm talking to youth pastor Josh Jarrett, one of the biggest staples in my life. Josh, we're in a youth group at college group. And we're talking, and I was like, dude, I wanted to go to Josh and Jim, his dad, were just amazing to me. And Josh was like, hey, why don't you be a cop? And I was like, what? Like, dude, I've never been a cop. Like, I've never thought about that. And he's like, dude, I think that'd be like a good thing for you. You should look into it. He's like, you're honest, you're a protector. That's what you should be. I was like, okay. So I end up looking into law enforcement at Shasta College. There's a couple of retired officers there. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And I was like, dude, this is, I like this. I really do enjoy it.
You're like 19, 20 at the
Yeah,
time?
I think I was 20. And so I was like, dude, this is awesome. He's like, bro, you should put in for the Reading Police Department as a cadet. And I was like, dude, that would be sick. So I applied, I got the job, and I tested #1 for cadet, and I got the spot. And I immediately fell in love with law enforcement. And I was like, this is it. Like, all the rumors are wrong. You know, cops aren't racist. They're not a bunch of meanie heads. These are like some good dudes. And so I kept going to church. I ended up going to the police academy in 2014 at Butte. And I ended up leaving Butte over some semantics. But just prior to leaving to the academy, I had met a beautiful, stunning woman who walked into the front doors of the church. And I remember Josh saying, if you believe in the God that created the moon and the stars, then you need to believe that he can walk your wife through the front doors of this church. And by golly, he walked that woman through the front doors of the church, and my jaw hit the floor. And I said out loud, holy mackerel, who is that? And her uncle, who was standing next to me, said, that's my niece. And I was like, your niece is hot.
So you doubled down.
I've never been one to not double down.
Yeah, I know that about you.
Yes. And
So not like, I'm sorry, I got overcome,
No.
let me apologize.
No, I had
You're
to
like,
actually make him more upset.
Yeah, okay.
And so we start dating. I take her on a date, and she absolutely falls in love with me, head over heels.
That's exactly how she tells the story also. It's same.
Yeah. And yeah, you can ask her. She totally said.
Is it in the Thunderbird?
Yes.
Okay.
So we go on a date.
It was probably the car. A 15-year-old
You know
terrible
what?
car.
No, we weren't the Thunderbird. I sold the Thunderbird and got a Mustang.
Okay.
I had a 98 Mustang. I leveled up. So I bought a stick shift Mustang, powder blue like the Chargers. It was literally like almost, it was a little darker than that.
Okay.
But it's that blue Mustang.
Yeah.
Stick shift. I put a sound system in the back, and I go to pick her up. My power steering pump was leaking. So I literally pull in her driveway and like hurry up and open the thing and like check it real fast and then close it and opened her door for her. We took her on a date. And yeah, we were still dating. I went down to the academy. I left the academy, came back. She still stayed with me. I had a job opportunity to go to LA, and I almost broke up with her. I was like, hey, I can't be from, 9 hours away. And she was like, okay, like, I guess that's it then. And then this wonderful lady named Candy. Candy is one of the sweetest ladies. I love her to death. She's been there for me through everything. And she's always been like a constant in my life. Even to this day, I just saw her at a baseball tournament.
Okay.
And she still gives me a hug. She's like, I love you, sweetie. Like, she worked at the police department. And
When you were an explorer, or not
yeah, when
explorer,
I was
but a cadet.
Yeah.
Right.
And I worked with her like hand in hand, and she just become like another mom, And Candy looked at me and was like, you idiot. What are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm going to go be a cop in LA. She was like, no, you're not. If you love that girl, like, that is not where you need to be. You need to tell her that. And so I called her back and I was like, hey, I'm not going to LA. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I love you. Wherever you are is where I want to be. We can figure this out. So I ended up not pursuing a career in law enforcement. And we ended up getting married in 2014, December 6th. And
Number 11 coming up.
Yep. And so I was like so like on fire for for God that it made her want to pursue God more. And so it was really cool because like I know that the Lord will send you a helpmate to like balance it out. So like in the off times where like I was in a bad place, like after I left the academy, she was the one who kept pushing me to come back to Jesus. Like whenever I'd be like bitter or upset, she'd be like, hey, like, like, so she's I would say single-handedly, like, and that's not just because she's going to listen to this and watch this, but she's single-handedly the most important person on this planet to me. She has been my rock through everything. So we end up going to the coast, becoming a cop on the coast, and we ended up having another boy, or another baby who's a boy, sweet boy, and we moved over.
Great pillowcases.
Yep, beautiful choice. Move over to the coast. I got hired by a department over there. I was actually their first ever black police officer ever.
Really?
Which is crazy. I had no idea until they like put out an article.
What year?
2017.
It took till 2017.
2018.
Took till 2018.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is crazy because there were like black dudes that worked at like the sheriff's office and Arcata, but none at Eureka. And so I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I work over there for a few years and it's going great. At my academy graduation, we announced that we were having another baby, which turns out it was not a baby. It was a tumor. It's called a molar pregnancy. So my wife ended up having to go through surgery to get it removed. It grew back. She had to get it removed again and then had to be on cancer watch for a while. So it was like I had to sign essentially like DNC paperwork for if she bled out because their medical was not as advanced as a lot of places and they didn't have the equipment to save her if needed. And like that was really hard having to sign a form that said like, hey, your wife might die. And so she had to be on cancer watch. It was a really hard year for us. And I was still on training. So like at the tail end of my training, I'm in like phase 3 of the field training program. And she essentially gets told like, hey, you have a cancerous tumor inside of you. Like we go to the little scan thingy to see that we're having a baby. And it's not a baby. And that was like, it was heartbreaking.
Right.
So fast forward like a year, she's clear of cancer. She doesn't have to do chemo. And they're like, hey, you can start trying again. So we start trying again. We ended up conceiving. And at about 10 weeks, our sweet baby girl that's in there cooking, my wife starts bleeding heavily. Me. And we didn't have any family over there. It's just us, our oldest daughter, my son, and my pregnant wife. So we didn't really have like a lot of friends or family over there. I was fairly new to the area. And so she goes to the hospital. She has to drive herself because my son had a like 104 fever. And so I ended up calling one of my buddies who works at the sheriff's office out there. And I was like, bro, I don't have anybody else. Like, I need you to watch my kids so I can go be with my wife at the hospital. Like, I think we're losing another baby. And so he's like, just called in sick. I'll be there. Goes to the house, makes the kids dinner. And I go down to the hospital. The dude essentially tells my wife, like, hey.
Dude being like a doctor?
Yeah, the doctor guy. He's like, yeah, it's not a viable fetus. So I'm like, essentially like from Rocky, if it dies, it dies. Like, which was so cold-hearted at the time. And so my wife calls the on-call OB, and she's like, we don't know what to do. Like, he pretty much told us, go kick rocks. And she's like, hey, I'm upstairs. I'll be right down, and I'm going to bring the sonogram machine. And I was like, oh, sweet. And she comes in, and she puts that sonogram to the stomach. She's like, that's a happy, healthy baby right there. And we wept. And we both looked at each other, and she's like, I can't do this again. And so we both agreed, like, hey, I think this is probably going to be it for us. Like, you've been through the ringer. Like, so we'll not have any more kids after this. So our rainbow baby, little sweet little baby girl.
Spitfire.
Oh, dude, she is a Sour Patch Kid. Super sweet, but also like a dynamite, dude. But
You got great skin, but she can give you wrinkles, brother.
Oh, dude, she stresses me out. She just lost her second tooth last night.
You paid it. I mean, the tooth fairy paid up, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. I'm talking like $3. Yeah. Good. Yeah, some good money.
Big money.
Oh, yeah. November 11th of 2020, Aubrey is almost 5 months old. I go to a call for service, and I see that there's 2 young girls there, and I believe that they're being trafficked. So we go to contact the dude. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. I go to
make contact with
the driver, and it all goes sideways. The dude takes off. We get in pursuit. My buddy Josh is coming to meet us, and
he's another officer.
Yeah, another officer. Yeah, Josh Horn, one of the greatest dudes who's ever lived. Josh takes off after him. I get behind Josh, and we take off. We're code 3 lights and sirens chasing this guy. He's doing probably like a buck 10, southbound Broadway. And we're in the middle turn.
110 for non-cop speak.
Yes. Yeah. Or for like redneck slang out there, you're doing about a buck 10.
You really transition between communities. Great.
Oh yeah, dude. So he is hauling. He's on the wrong side of traffic, in and out of cars, trying to get us to discontinue, which it's about 9:00 in the morning. So we're headed southbound, and like we're clearing intersections, but we're doing it pretty quick. And I'm about maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds behind Josh. So bad guy goes through the intersection at Broadway Henderson. Josh goes through, and I come out to go in. And when I went out to go in, there was a truck that had stopped about halfway in the intersection, and she pulled out. She couldn't see me. I couldn't see her. And we collided. I was not buckled. I smashed my face on the passenger side. I shattered all of this. I broke my jaw. I put my hand through the windshield, and I'm unconscious. Josh stopped chasing that dude and turned around to come help me. Josh was like a combat medic. So like he was, I just geeked out over like being a medic. So he comes back. My other buddy, Ray comes to the car, and Ray starts cutting the airbags, and my blood's everywhere. I'm unconscious, obviously, and this stinking massive man is a great dude named John. John rips the door off the hinges on the passenger side. That's been completely wrecked, and I don't know how he did it, but he rips the door open. And I don't know if you've ever seen a mangled car that needed the jaws of life, but John was the jaws of life and ripped the door off.
Good friend to have.
Dude, he's a stellar dude. And I come flying out. They said I yelled, "I'm coming out, Sarge." And I just start kicking, and they catch me, and I passed out. And they thought I was dead. So they think they're holding their dead brother, who's been working alongside him for 3 years. They start cutting my vest off, and they wake me up, and I remember thinking, this is a bad dream. And I was like, oh, I'm going back to bed. And they were like, don't go back to bed. I passed back out. They wake me back up again, and the sergeant is standing there, and he's like, stay with me, dude. Like, you're hurt. You're real bad. Like, we're gonna try and make sure you're okay. Like, we're gonna try and help you or something along those lines. And I tapped my ring, and I said, I miss my wife and kids. Like, tell them I love them. And it was at that moment I realized, and I never realized this before, and I think it's just because I was young and thinking I was invincible. I think I'm probably 27 at this time, maybe 28. I never really understood the concept of, like, it's the Lord, it's all in the Lord's timing, dude. It's not in ours. Like, you don't get to die in a comfy bed with all your friends around and your pastor, and like get to say bye to everyone and like, hey, sayonara, and then just kind of go peacefully in your sleep. You might be a bloody mess in the bushes off of Broadway on a cold November day in Eureka, covered and choking on your own blood. And I thought I was it. I was like, dude, I'm dying and I can feel it. And I just want to hold my baby. Like, the last picture in my camera roll was me holding Aubrey in my chair. And then the next picture was a picture I took on the plane outside the window, because I'd never been on a plane. I was actually really nervous. So Josh comes back.
So you did your friends a courtesy and didn't die on the side of the road.
Yes, I didn't die.
But eventually they had to put you on a plane to get you somewhere where you could get the care you needed.
They had to life flight me. I had a brain bleed. I broke my jaw here and here. And I get to the hospital. My wife gets there.
It's like Bay Area or North Bay, right?
Yeah. It's I can't remember the name of the hospital, but yeah, I'm over there, and they're like, hey, we have to fly him out of here. Like, his jaw is broken. He's got a brain bleed. He's got to go to a trauma center. And it was during COVID, so Redding wouldn't take me over here, which would have been very fortunate because we would have had places to stay and like friends and family. But they flew me to Santa Rosa. Believe it or not, it was my first ever broken bone, first ever plane ride, and first ever car accident all in the same day.
I'm speaking for your wife here. She's fine with that being the last ever broken bone and the last ever life flight. She probably wants you to take her on a plane ride.
Yeah,
but for like somewhere with a beach.
Yes, I would say she would absolutely agree with that. I remember Josh getting in the ambulance, and I said, hey, can you just call my wife and just tell her I love her? And so he calls her, and he's like, I'm not going to leave his side. I'm right here. Like, and Josh was with me through all of it. Josh ended up screaming at some reporter and like almost drawing down on this reporter who was like inside of the crime scene, just taking pictures of my body on the ground. Like, dude, they cut my vest off. Like, I'm in my chonies, like, and I'm dying. And this dude wants to take pictures of me, like, to put it to the press. And Josh was pissed. And the sheriff was like, hey, like, the sheriff was like, you should probably take off. Like, that's one of his best friends. Like, you probably shouldn't be here doing that. And he's like, okay, takes off. So Josh is with me. Josh actually cuts my badge off of my shirt. And he taped it to my chest. And he's like, dude, you earned this today. Like, that's yours. You keep that. Because my actual badge was just covered in my blood, which I still have. They cleaned most of the blood off of it, though. But I still have that little cutout patch, too. Josh just recently passed away from brain cancer. And beautiful human being. Amazing police officer.
I knew about your friend who had cancer. I didn't know that that was the same person.
That was
though.
Josh.
I didn't know those two stories connected.
Yeah. Josh was that dude who always had a good attitude. He was always silly. We would just mess around. Like, we would just be idiots together. And then he left behind a wife and two sweet boys. 34, glioblastoma. And he fought like heck, dude. Like, he fought to stinking keep that cancer away. But yeah, he's a good man. He was in the Coast Guard. He came to all the way from Norfolk, Virginia. He was a cop in Norfolk. And him and his wife actually met in the Coast Guard. And
Did they get lost? I mean, how do you go from Norfolk, Virginia to Eureka?
I think her family actually was like lived out in that area, which is what ended up bringing them out there. But dude, honestly, just like loved the person he was. And he was just like, he's a go-getter. He always wanted to be a ranger. So like, he left Eureka around the same time that I left, and he went to the feds to go be a federal park ranger and worked up in Klamath. And he actually got Federal Ranger of the Year for 2023, and I got Officer of the Year for 2023. So it was actually really cool. And they did a really good job at his funeral. Josh is a really good dude. I talked to him about Jesus. We went and saw him before we left, and asked him about his prayer life. And he's like, well, it's getting better now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, not trying to like shove it down his throat, but we talked about Jesus. And I was like, when it got towards the end, I just texted him like, just the gospel. Like, dude, I just want to see you in heaven. And he couldn't really work his phone very well towards the end, but he just liked my message. And I was like, at least he read it. So I'd like to think that Josh, being the human he was, that I'd get to see him again one day. But after that, I got back to work. I healed up, and I was like, dude, we need to go back to buy a house. Like, dude, the housing market over on the coast is insane. Like, dude, I was not making very much money. And I was gonna get let go for not having a medical procedure done. And I did not. I don't like needles anyways. So I was like, dude, I'm not gonna do that. So I applied over in this region. I got the job, and we moved over here. We bought a nice 6-acre ranch, and we just continued to just work hard to be different. And I think if you look back for what I was saying earlier, like, if you look back at all of those little things, even before I was a Christian, God kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me, because he knew I was going to be something. My surgeon, the plastic surgeon, sees me in the hospital in Santa Rosa. And he was like, he's looking at my x-rays, and he's like, how are you here? And I was like, I don't know, you know? And he's like, no, man, you broke your D1 mandible. It's as dense as a rock. Like, you broke your jaw in 3 places. Your brain bleed has stopped. I don't know how to say this, but you're either made out of the toughest stuff on the planet, or someone's looking out for you, because nobody survives that. He's like, a lesser man would have been a lawn dart. And I don't know how you survived that, to let alone have a rational thought or have a conversation with me. Your brain should be, you shouldn't be here. And I was like, I don't know, man. He was like, I don't even believe in God,
Mm.
but I believe that somebody was looking out for you because nobody survives that. And I was like, holy mackerel. Like, God has me here for a reason. And I think it's to keep doing this job and to keep serving my community, but also to reach out to the kids who were like me, like the ones who were secretly struggling but always had a smile on their face and acted like nothing was wrong. The kids who had dirty clothes and were hungry but just wanted to keep hustling because they wanted to be something more. They didn't know why, but they just needed it. Like my current assignment right now, I'm a school resource officer, and I love getting to be around the youth. I'm a dad. I love coaching youth sports, coach baseball, and just getting to like be around the kids and just be a light for them and just like a safe place. Like, but the kids that I am always usually drawn to are the kids that have the rougher past, like I did. I remember one time I was talking to a kid who was having a really rough day, and I was like, "Hey man, where's your dad?" He was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Is your home life rough?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Do you guys not have a lot of money?" No. And I was like, "Do you think there's a reason I'm asking these specific questions?" It's like, "I don't know." It's because I was you, dude. And he was like, taken back. Like, what? Like, how? It's like, dude, my dad was a dope addict, bounced. My mom bounced. Been on my own since I was 16. I've had to hustle for everything I've had. The word I always cling to is grit. Like, there's two G's. There's God and grit. Like, I wouldn't have the grit if it wasn't for God, and I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't have grit. Like, and when I think of the word grit, I think of like the World War II Marines climbing with their bare hands up a hill, taking fire and refuse to quit. Like, that's the kind of grit you need to survive when you're not handed anything, when you have to build from the ground up. Like, you have to pray to God and you have to have grit, because otherwise, dude, this world's going to eat you up. Like, it's not a fun, happy, like, this isn't TikTok, dude. You don't get to just see the highlights, like, dude, there's a lot of kids out there who don't know where the next meal's coming from. There's a lot of kids out there whose parents are on dope. Like, there's a lot of kids who just get left behind. Like, they go to school because that's their happy place, because they know that's where somebody cares about them. They know that that's where a hot meal's going to be. And they know that I get to stay here and I don't have to worry about all the garbage at home for a while. So like, when I get to meet those kids and like show them like, hey, if I did it, you can do it. Like, yeah, I had a dad that was dope addict. Like, and when I tell him like, yeah, dude, my dad's still homeless, like, oh, that's crazy. Like, yeah, dude, my brother went to prison for armed robbery. Like, bro, I'm not this spoon-fed dude. Like, bro, I had gold teeth. Dude, I used to listen to Mac Dre. Like, dude, I've done it all. But you know what I do now? Now I work hard. I appreciate what I have. Like, and I sit back and I look at the property that I own. And I'm like, I just told my wife this the other day. I was like, look at how good God is. Like, when you just take a minute to just breathe in, because like everything's nice and green right now.
Right. It's beautiful this time.
Yeah. And like, my daughter wanted to be a barrel racer, so we bought her a horse. Like, we went into debt to buy a horse. Like, my son wants to ride dirt bikes, so we buy him a dirt bike. Like, I'm only allowed to do that because God allows me to. Like, and God has made me good at my job. And it's not for the reasons like, oh yeah, dude, because I can smell dope from a mile away. Like, no, dude, I'm like, I love being a good cop, and I love chasing bad guys. I love putting people away when they need to go, but I think there's far more important work that we can do. And that's why I love my spot where I'm at now, because I think reaching the community that you're a part of and helping to build your own community up not only like saves us future calls for service when it comes to like criminals, because there's always going to be evil, right? There's always going to be a bad guy. Like, I don't think that there's ever, unless like God's plan is different in this one day, but I don't think that's going to be on this side of heaven. I think that'll be there will always be sin. There will always be bad guys, like, and there will always have to be a need for my profession. But I think if I can reach out and harness a relationship with a kid who's on his way down that path and sway the way that they think about life, because if somebody else did it, I can do it too, and kind of show them like, hey, dude, there's another way out of this. Like there's so much more to life. Like, bro, you can go from nothing to something. Like you don't have to, and it doesn't have to be like it's who you know, like, which obviously does matter. But when it comes down to it, I didn't know anybody. Like I didn't have any connection. I couldn't get hired at McDonald's. Like, but I hustled. I just kept grinding. When people say like, oh, I came out the mud, like, bro, I really came out the mud. Like I had dirty clothes and 2 pillowcases, and that's all I did. I just had to go grind. And if I can do it, you can do it. I tell adults the same thing. I've talked to adults that are like, you don't know what it's like having parents that didn't care about you. I'm like,
Actually,
yeah, I do. Try again. Well, my dad was a drug addict. Mine too. Try again. Well, I was homeless since I was a kid. I was too. Try again. And then they run out of excuses, and then they're like, but how? Bro, because of God. It's not because of me. I'm not this all-powerful being that just grabbed himself by his own bootstraps and pulled himself up. I refused to quit, but God put that in me. Like, I wasn't born with that. I was lazy. That's why I was 340 pounds. I was lazy. I had a hard work drive. I was still out there working at 117, moving propane tanks, and 340 pounds, which is another story for another time. But like, I was inherently lazy. I had hard work and hard drive, but like, people don't like to be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, sure, eating bad stuff's
it's fun.
It's fun. It tastes good, and sitting out on the couch, it's nice. Not going out and running 3 miles, like that's hard stuff.
Right.
Nobody likes to do the hard stuff because complacency is easy. But
It is podcast for another time, but I do have a question. From 340 pounds to
I got down to 225.
hard work.
Yeah, that
Hard
was
work.
all 2024 in 1 year.
Excellent. So I have a question for you. I want to come back to one thing you just said, that you take the time to get to know these kids that you can sort of identify as maybe walking some of the same path or maybe the actual same path as that you went down. But it sounds like Leon, great uncle, Molly, school counselor. I wish I had their names. I'd love to say their names, but the lunch ladies, Devin, and the 2 boys that came with him, Devin's mom and dad, they said yes. You can stay on the couch. Steve and Stacy, who met you exactly 1 time, and now they're mom and dad before you came to live with them. Random guy owning the Showboat Lounge, Jim, took a chance on a kid who was probably sweaty from working at
very sweaty.
from working at Round Table. Took a chance, and you made those $200 a month payments, but took a chance on you. And then guys that actually had an opportunity to have more time in your life, Josh Jarrett and Jim Jarrett, 2 men I know and respect greatly, particularly Jim. Story for another time. No disrespect to Josh. It's just Jim did something in my life a long time ago at that Calvary Chapel out on out on Lake Boulevard when I was still there. But it sounds like the people don't necessarily have to be Steve and Stacy. They might be Steve and Stacy, where they take in a kid they don't really know and they say, you got 2 rules. You get a job and you go to school. But they could also be somebody like those lunch ladies or like the teacher at Sojourner who knew that you didn't have Thanksgiving. And they can make a course correction in a kid's life.
Yeah. And dude, it's not even like these people were like, hey, like, I'm going to hook you up with a job and then set me up for my future. Like, hey, I'm going to teach you finances and you're going to be the next Jordan Belfort, like it wasn't anything crazy. It was like,
I'm not sure Jordan Belfort's the guy. Maybe we'll go Warren Buffett.
yeah, sure. But you know what I mean? Like, dude, these people were just staples. They were a constant. They were a safe place. They were loving. The kindest little gesture of what they were doing. Like the lunch ladies, I don't know if they were believers. They never talked to me about Jesus, but they did what Jesus would do. They fed the hungry. You know what I mean? Like Steve and Stacy weren't Christians, and they took me in and gave me a place to stay, put a roof over my head. They even like took me to a baseball game. They didn't have to do that. They weren't my parents. And I will say, praise the Lord, Steve and Stacy both gave their lives to Jesus.
Amen.
In the last couple of years. And Dad just got baptized this last year. So it's like, it's crazy to see the Lord work in my life and all the people. And it has been a wild ride. And I think that one of the coolest testaments that I can have to God's glory is like, I set out to make my name mean something. And now if you were to Google my last name, it's not like drug addict. It's not high speed pursuit of a bad guy. It's not parolees. It's not drug deals and fights. It's Officer Hooks. It's Officer Hooks. It's these cool things, you know, that the Lord has helped me do for my community. It's me getting nominated for Officer of the Year for my work as a school resource officer. I never thought I'd get some award like that. Like, I was just doing my job. I didn't think for School Resource Officer Day that they would surprise me and have an entire assembly and do like an entire video on me. Like, I was blown away. I didn't realize how much effect I could have on people, and I owe that all to God. And I don't hide it. Somebody asked me one time, why are you so happy all the time? Like, why are you always smiling? I was like, brother, I got Jesus in my heart, you know? But in all reality, I was like, dude, because my joy doesn't come from here, you know? My joy isn't because of my truck. My joy isn't because of my family.
Oh, I've seen the license plate frame. It can't possibly be that freaking truck.
You're a mean man. Dude, my joy is from Jesus, dude. There was one of the elders at the church, Calvary Chapel, named Fabian. Fabian, if you ever heard his story, has a wonderful story. But Fabian told me one day, this thick accent, because Fabian's from Africa.
You thought about doing the accent just now.
No, I didn't.
I
was
see it
trying
on
to
your
remember.
face.
I was trying to actually like show some respect and remember like exactly where he's from. Fabian told me that if you had two men and one of them, and they both were rich and they both had all these cool toys and fancy things, but one of them believed in Jesus, if both of their houses burned down and their families were all gone, the man without Jesus would weep because he has nothing. The dude who has Jesus would be sad, but in his heart, he would still find joy because his joy doesn't come from those things. His joy comes from Jesus. And I was like, yeah, like, dude, you could lose everything. He's like, look at the story of Job.
Job, right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and that's what we were going through that book. We would go sit down at a hometown buffet once a month and just talk scripture and eat copious amounts of food. And he would only eat like fish and rice because he was like 6% body fat.
Fabian, as an older man, is a physical specimen.
Yes.
He's a stud.
Yeah, like...
Yeah. He was also like a professional soccer player too.
And boxer and scientist. You're talking about a dude who came from nothing to something. Like that dude's story is remarkable. Like even here, dude, just gives me chills just thinking about it.
Well, maybe I could talk Fabian into coming and sitting down with me.
Dude, that'd be a legit podcast.
So let me ask you two questions.
Okay.
These are the two questions that I wrote before our time together. If you were going to try and distill down, and I think you did in a way that probably ought to be a t-shirt or a hashtag or something, but if you were going to try and distill down the lessons that life taught you, that God brought to you through your 30 plus years of adventuring through this world, which can be a pretty difficult, dark place, what would you try and tell a young person? Like say the currently 14-year-old version of you. You said grit and God.
I was going to say that it would be that. It'd be to keep your faith in God and never go backwards, always go forwards. Just keep digging your fingers in the dirt and refuse to give up. Like you're gonna get to the top of that hill, but you're only gonna stop if you want to. Like if you give up, but if you don't give up, you will get to the top of the hill. That is gonna happen. You just can't give up, but you have to know that you have to rely on God to get there. It's not going to be on your own power. You can't be like, I can do this on my own without anybody else because the foolish man says, I don't need God. Plain and simple. Like you can say, I can do this all day, and then all your stuff is gone and you're sad.
Right.
Or if you don't make it, you're like, oh, this is dumb, you know. But if the man who has God doesn't make it to his destination, it's just because that's not where he's supposed to be. He has another destination to go to. It's not like his life's over. Like like if I wasn't a cop, I'd just go do something else. You know, and I'd still be doing the same thing. I just wouldn't be a cop.
Okay, so then, you know my family, you know my kids.
The sweetest.
Thank you. And you know the worries common to parents of kids. You got kids similar age to some of my kids. If you were going to offer an encouragement to parents whose kids are at school, parents whose kids are growing up in a unique time, right? Like, you're younger than me, so you had some of this, but people my age, like we just grew up without social media, without constantly having a supercomputer in our pocket and a bad news machine that carried us around and, getting notifications of the next bad news. Kids today are growing up technologically different. I apologized in person, but I apologize again on this podcast to my two older kids because they told me as they were growing up, you don't have any idea what it's like to grow up now. And I was a lot younger and closer to their age. And I was like, yeah, actually I do. I can remember it. It's not that far ago for me. It's not that hard, suck it up. And I wish I hadn't said that. I was wrong because it was different for them because they grew up with the iPhone and all of the connectivity, which has its benefits. But for these parents that are raising kids in this new environment that no parents have raised kids in before, or maybe they're the second generation of parents to raise kids before, what encouragement would you offer them, or what note have you taken in your role as a school resource officer, as a kid who's come through it, that might be an assist to our community?
I think we as a world need to monitor what we're like letting these kids do on there. And I do agree it's a great tool. But I've seen even as a school cop, like handwriting has gone down. The attention spans have gone down. Like the amount of illegal things kids record themselves doing because they think it'll be cool to post online. Like these things are, and I don't want to say ruining because I don't think ruining is the correct word, but I think it's doing more bad than good. So I think parents need to realize, like, dude, it's not a bad thing to monitor your kid's phone. It's not an intrusion of privacy to make sure your kids aren't looking at things they're not supposed to. It's not a bad thing to, dude, make them earn screen time. They want 15 minutes on an iPad. You got to do chores. Each chore that you check off the list is 15 minutes, but you get a max of an hour a day. Like make them learn that you have to work for playtime in the real world, but also teach them how to navigate it safely. Like I can't tell you how many cases I've had of kids getting lured in by adults on the internet because, like, dude, since COVID, the sexploitation of minors has gone up like 2,000%. And those are horrible statistics that most people have no idea. Like, but it is a real thing. Like these kids are being exploited on there because they don't know how to navigate it safely. Because, like you said, dude, parents will just hand this 10-year-old an iPhone,
right,
and then expect them to know how to behave. That's like putting a pit bull in a chicken coop and being like, "Don't touch the eggs or the chickens." And then just letting them go and think that they're not going to chase the chickens around. Like you can't, you have to expect them that they're going to do what they do. And that's us as sinners. We're going to do what we naturally do. And that's sin. Dying, getting taxed, and sinning is what's guaranteed in this life.
Right.
Like you can't get away from it. Just because other people sin differently than you doesn't mean you ain't going to do it. So like, if I could offer parents that advice, it's like, dude, just monitor your kids' time. Like monitor what they're looking at, and like don't be afraid. Because I went through this with my kid. My kid was horrified that she was going to go to high school and she wasn't going to have Snapchat. That these kids were going to make fun of her because we didn't allow her to have Snapchat. We didn't allow her to have Instagram. We let her text and call. She wasn't, like, her internet usage was monitored. And we still do phone checks. She's 17. And I'm still like, hey, I told her, if I ever ask for your phone and she doesn't hand it to me, I'll put a 9mm round in it and you can buy your own phone. Like, plain and simple. And she knows, nope. If he says phone check, she hands it over. But I also trust her, and I don't have to do them every day, but she knows that I trust her to have it and to be good with it. But she knows that if I ask to go through it, I go through it. And me and her mother have decided, like, that's the safest way to do that. But what she thought was going to be like the end all of not having Snapchat. When people are like, hey, what's your Snap? And she'd be like, oh, no, I don't have one. And like play it off like she did. And they'd be like, oh, okay. But then she found out other kids don't have it. And it's not this detrimental thing.
Right.
Like,
they're not quite ostracized in these freaks on the outside
exactly.
of
It's not like
community.
people like stone her.
Right.
Like, yeah, you should
Torches
not
and
snap.
pitchforks.
Yeah, exactly. She's not a witch. You know what I mean? Like, but like that's what she thought. It was gonna be like, oh, social suicide. Like, dude, no way. No, dude. It was just like, oh, okay. Cool.
I think an important part of that the audience might not know is that you also have spent a lifetime building relationship with her so that you're not just this overbearing guy that's saying phone check. And it's not to suggest that there's not teenage drama in your household or my household, 'cause certainly there is. It's not like we should be writing books that everybody could follow.
They're teenagers.
Right,
Yeah.
they are teenagers. A pastor friend of mine said it to me this way, with respect to the Lord being in your life, is that Jesus is in your soup, right? You can't separate the components of soup. It's all together. It's soup, and so what I'm hearing from you as you talk about monitoring your kids is you got to be in their soup.
Yeah.
It's not different than knowing who your kids were friends with in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It's knowing who they're connecting with. And then I wonder if you might think of your analogy slightly different. You said, putting a pit bull, meaning the kid, in the chicken coop and telling him, don't eat the chickens. I wonder if when you hand that phone to the 10-year-old, if you haven't put the chicken, your child, in with a pit bull, because they don't know what's out there. They don't know how dark the world is out there. And they're just being kids.
Yeah.
And
kids explore, dude. Like, kids don't know. Like, and I think it's fascinating, but it's wild to me that, like, there's a computer class at a local school here for, like, the littles to learn to navigate the internet. Littles, like the kindergartners, like the TK kids, like how to learn how to click the X on the pop-up without actually clicking on the pop-up. And my first thought was, bro, why are we going to sites that have pop-ups for kids? Like, if you're going to play a math game, download or buy the math game, put the CD, I don't know, they still do CDs or that's still.
They exist. I don't think you can buy a computer with a CD player.
It's Putt Goes to the Moon. But just play the game so there's none of that. Like, maybe teach them at a later age.
Right.
It's fascinating to me that this is something that
it's curriculum.
Yeah, that it's curriculum. You know what I mean? Like, we're having computer time and, like, we are teaching you how to safely navigate the internet. And I'm like, that's cool on one hand. But on the other hand, like, my 5-year-old doesn't just get on the laptop and be like, I'm going to play math games. Like, she's learning how to spell cat. Like, we read Splat the cat. And she still sounds out all the letters because she's learning. Like, she does not need to learn how to click from a pop-up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that. I think technology is dampening our existence right now. And it's so crazy. I just saw a video earlier, speaking of technology, of these kids. And it said, I refuse to raise iPad kids. And it's these kids that are doing, like, plyometrics and, like, deadlifts, and these, like, toddlers to, like, 12 years old, like, working out on these gyms. And this dad is, like, recording, and he's like, this is gonna make me cry. My kids came out here and they're working out, and it's like this kid's doing one-arm pull-ups. He's like, looks like he's 5 or 6, and he's just holding a one-arm pull-up. And his daughter is out there, like, they were clearly swimming because there's water everywhere, but she's in her swimsuit and she's cleaning, like, looks like a 15 or 20 pound plate on each side, and she's cleaning it. And I'm like, yes, that's what we should be doing. Teach these kids to eat healthy. Teach these kids, like, how healthy interactions with the internet. Does dad use the internet every day? Yes, I have to for my job. If my internet goes down, my job is a lot harder. But, like, I have to look up things. I have to research things. Like, it is very difficult to find an encyclopedia with the information that I need that fast.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, back in the day, it was like, and I don't know if the Farmer's Almanac is still a thing.
It does. It tells us it's going to be a rainy year this year.
Yes.
But it tells you online.
Yeah, but
not
I can
a
also Google, is it going to rain next Wednesday? And it's a lot faster than trying to flip through a book and figure it out. And there's good uses for it, but I think it just has to be, we have to tread lightly. Like, we have to be cautious because it is something that I think is a good tool that can be used for evil. Absolutely. And it is being used for evil.
Well, Cameron, I want to do something that I didn't plan to do, but I want to praise God for Leon, for Molly, for the lunch ladies, for the lady at Sojourner, for Devin and his friends who made the midnight ride to Oakland, for Steve, for Stacy, for Jim, for Josh, for the Jim whose last name we both can't remember, who took a chance on you. I'm grateful they took a chance on you because I walked into church 10 years ago. I'm like, is that my brother? And you said, is that my brother? And that's one of the best things that's ever happened to me was meeting you and your friendship. But I want to thank you as speaking for the community, that you took the time and you had the courage to share your story. I think sometimes when people got something difficult in their past, they feel like we were imagining your daughter might have felt like if you tell your story, if you don't have Snapchat, it's pitchforks and torches, right?
Yeah.
They're going to Shrek out of town. I assure you, no one's going to run you out of town, or there'll be a long line of protectors before you. And I'm grateful that you had the courage to share your story, share so openly. I hope some young people and parents were encouraged. And your employer had some restrictions considering your profession. I want to thank your employer. They know who they are for letting you come here and take a little time off work and come chat to us today. And I want you to know that I'm specifically asking those people who might hear this podcast that call on Christ as Savior to pray for you, pray for your safety, pray for the security of your family, and pray for our community more broadly. And I thank you for your time on the Allredding podcast.
Appreciate you, brother.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.